Good morning, my son. Today, the topic is the Battle of Gaugamela, climax battle of Alexander the Great. Now, we know that he had achieved amazing job after this battle. But, still at that moment, 2,300 years before, not so many people guessed, Alexander will be final winner of Persian War. And no one know that he put his name on the history page, as a king of king. Because, Darius collected 200,000 numbers of soldiers for this battle. On the other hand, Alexander was in a way, and he could prepare just 40,000 feet. All the indications, related with practical battle show negative for Alexander's side. But behind, actually, situation of Alexander was, not that bad. According to the historical materials, still Macedon troop was the best of best quality. On the other hand, Persian troop was not really strong troop. For example, although they collected 200,000 to 250,000 feet, most of them were not really well-trained professional soldiers. So, even their costume also not really defensive, rather than Macedon army. Their Sarisa was 6.5 feet, compare with Macedon's 18 feet. They were not heavy infantry, but, almost all, light infantry. Also, strongest soldier is, the one, who is on active duty. Every day in the practical battle, rather than the soldier, who is staying in peaceful life. Alexander came up to here, trough daily battle. On the other hand, Persian soldiers were enjoying comfortable city life. Moreover, already Alexander established his charisma legendary image, during these his battles. Some atmosphere among Persian side, Alexander never loses. I think the person, who believed this image was, Darius himself. Indeed, Darius sent negotiation letter twice, to seek for compromise with Alexander, after Issus, but Alexander refused twice, therefore, attempt of Darius was failed. Maybe through these correspondences, Alexander made up his own battle plan. Of course, still situation was not really favor for Alexander. He had disadvantage, absolute different volume of soldiers. After he realized the battle cannot be avoided, Darius tried to interrupt marching of Alexander. Namely, Darius asked scorched earth policy on the marching route of Alexander. Because, it was quite clear that, target of Alexander is Babylon, and in order to come to Babylon, Alexander has to come along with Euphrates River. However, Alexander had obtained this information in advance, through his secret agent. And, he took another route, which Darius did not expect. One of the weak points of Alexander were, conducting battle in a way, not his home ground, and also, local lords were not so cooperative to support these supplies. Darius responded, and moved to his route. They met in Gaugamela field, 1st of October, 331 BC. Alexander kept 3.5 miles distances from front line of Darius. At that moment, already going to be night. It is marginal distance. Still enough distance for Alexander to attack Darius. Those days, it was not common for Persian army to carry out the battle in night time. But Darius did not know, if Alexander takes night attack or not. Actually, one of Alexander's generals, Parmenion, asked Alexander to do night attack. And here, Alexander replied to him with very famous words of him. I do not pilot the victory. Wow, very cool, and exactly the words of hero. He has talent to choose best word. He asked all soldiers to take a good sleep for tomorrow. On the other hand, Darius' side cannot have a good sleep at all. They have to be ready for any night attack, and very exhausted. Some historian said, it was also one of tactics of Alexander. Okay, my son. Recap situation. They produced this battle line. Persian prepared 200,000 light infantries, 35,000 cavalries, 10,000 immortals, 2,000 heavy infantries, 200 chariots and 15 numbers of war elephants. Alexander had 40,000 infantries and 7,000 strongest cavalries. Additionally, Darius asked their military engineers to tidy up this field before the battle start, because this chariot troop is one of his secret weapons. And he tried to create smooth ground for chariot for easy moving. Namely, removed stone, debris, and branches on the ground. He just planned to attack front, and both side wings. It is quite normal, and maybe 10 out of 10 commanders may think this formation. That field was wide and huge. Therefore, it was an advantage for big volume troop to carry out siege attack. Alexander created that kind of defensive formation. Both wings, covered by phalanx of him. Also, he placed infantry group in the back line of their troop. Apparently, it is quite defensive formation. Here, all materials for you. Do you know what was his battle plan? How to run this battle? First stage of the battle, Alexander asked his right wing to move obliquely. It was very abnormal, as a military common sense. Actually, it is quite difficult for troop to move obliquely. Especially for phalanx formation, very difficult. They will be messy, and create cracking, undulation of troop line. However, Macedon phalanx was not normal troop. Very abnormal. With their hard training, they could change formation, upon request of Alexander. Whatever Alexander likes. So, Darius was surprised, and extend their front line to follow right wing of them. And also asked his left wing to stop right wing of Alexander. Simultaneously, Darius asked all of his troops to move to forward. Especially Darius expected the chariot to penetrate into Alexander's front line. However, chariots betrayed this expectation. Alexander maybe obtained this information of chariots beforehand, and prepare countermeasure for it. He asked light infantry to hit chariots. Because light infantry is easy to move, they waved attack of chariot like a matador, and kill driver by arrow. Basically, chariot cannot easy to change its direction, once they speed up, and cannot stop easily too. When they overtake infantry, infantry can target to them. Actually, this method appeared on the history book few times after 100, 200 years later. When Scipio Africanus, and Julius Caesar had their own battles. Definitely, Scipio, and Caesar had studied this battle, learned from Alexander. Some chariots could reach to front line of Alexander. In here, Macedon army show to Persian, the differences between Macedon and Persia. When chariots came to front line, Macedon troop dismantle their line, and let chariots to go through. Then, light infantry was waiting in there to shoot them. It is easy to say, but very difficult to conduct in practical battle. All, due to hard training of Macedon army. This special military already developed themselves as the best of the best in that era. Darius put a big volume of his cavalry on their left wing, and pushed. Actually, on the left wing of Alexander was in the critical moment. Meanwhile, their right wing, of course, Alexander also there, was pretty fine too, control battlefield. Then, Darius asked his left-wing cavalry to support that battle. This is the moment, what Alexander was aiming. The moment, he shouts and run into the front line of Persian troop. Yes, this is really showing his given talent as game changer. My son, it is almost impossible. Now, we are watching this battle, by bird eyes. However, Alexander was watching this battle, from flat eye level. Also, the battlefield is dusty, cannot see well for long distance. And actually, they are in a tense, killing each other. But, still Alexander was cool to watch, observe the battle, and found very narrow chance for the victory. He and his Heroitai cavalry break into the line, and their target was, only one, Darius. Same time, his front line also moved forward to hit their front line. Stake everything. And here, Darius was not the great. He was terrified by Alexander, and again, run away. Actually, Darius did not need to move, or at least, no need to run away. His surroundings, immortals, stand by to protect him, and indeed, their right wing was, almost destroying Alexander's left wing. No if in the history. I know. But, we are sometimes cannot avoid to think about, if Darius stay there 30 minutes more. World history may not be like nowadays. Unfortunately for him, Darius spent all his cavalries to another battle line, and he did not have enough cavalry to stop Alexander. Then, he just gave up the battle, and escaped from battlefield. If bosses like this, they were not able to continue the battle. One by one, Alexander and his troop destroyed Persian troops, and won the victory with short period. Remember, their army was, not everybody professional soldiers. Some was just mercenary, some was just even farmers. Once their boss escape, no loyalty to stay there. They disappeared from the battlefield immediately. By this battle, Alexander made sure the domination of Persian territory. He moved to Babylon, Susa, plunder the cities, and eventually, reached to Persepolis after the local battles. Like Uxian Defile, the Battle of Persian Gate. Here, also Alexander did comprehensive massacre, and plunder. Some of the battles were not really easy for him. But, as results of these, Alexander made sure his finance for his expedition. Meanwhile, Alexander got news that Darius III had been killed by his people, Bessus, and eventually, he chased them to give punishment. He went through his own philosophy, and he disallowed Bessus, who killed Darius. For Alexander, Bessus killed Darius, it was not justice. Anyway, still his journey was actually continued for a while. But, many historical writers quit for describing of great journey of Alexander. Or, go downward for their motivation in around here. Because, it is supplemental story, rather than what he achieved up to here. And, me too. I will end up his story by here, for the time being. Maybe someday, I will add up some more story of him.
As the journey continues.